Hey everybody, welcome in on this lovely June 29th. Thank you all for spending the middle of your week with me and tuning in. I appreciate it. I love my listeners as always. A lot going on in sports as always. Big news today. Big news in the NFL today. We're going to just hit it off on the show today, alright? We're just going to get right into it because we got some big things to talk about, some sad things to talk about in the world of sports. But big news coming out today. Big money contract. Big name player. Don't know if you guys saw this. Some of you are just getting home from work, kicking your shoes off. But the Indianapolis Colts and Andrew Luck have reached a extension, a new contract, 6 years, $140 million over the 6 years. Now, as we've talked about in previous shows, those numbers don't mean anything. The only thing that means anything is the guaranteed money. Show me the money. So, what's the guaranteed money for Mr. Luck? Well, Mr. Luck is going to bring in a lucky, record-breaking $87 million guaranteed. Thank you very much, Andrew Luck, for setting the market for the rest of the quarterbacks coming down the path. Now, this contract surpasses the contract that Aaron Rodgers got as far as the big numbers, the 5 years, $110 million, right? It surpasses the Russell Wilson 4 years, $87.6 million contract. Now again, like we said, those numbers don't mean anything. Those aren't the guaranteed numbers we're talking about. So you look at guaranteed money. Russell Wilson on that contract got $60 million guaranteed. Not bad, but that's nowhere in the neighborhood of that $87 million. Like, he's outside the gate now, living down the street, looking up the hill at the neighborhood with $87 million guaranteed that Andrew Luck's living in. Andrew Luck's $87 million guaranteed, by far $22 million more than any other contract guaranteed money. Before that 87 that we saw today, the previous guaranteed high was a tie between two quarterbacks that were traded for each other in the draft, Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers. Both of them had contracts that guaranteed them $65 million. So we'll see where this takes the Colts. He's now wrapped up through the 2021 season, okay? He's not going anywhere unless, career falls apart. Didn't have a good year last year. He himself admits he wasn't playing well before the injuries. So this is much more than just a bounce-back year for him. Now he's got to prove to me that I should have just given you that $87 million guarantee. Because between 87 and 140, that's the money that he probably will never see. But that 87, that guaranteed part, no matter what, now that he's signed that deal, that's his money. So good for Andrew Luck. Hopefully it's good for the Colts. Hopefully they can build more of a solid team around Andrew Luck than they did around Peyton Manning during his tenure there. Sure, they won a lot of regular season games while Peyton was there and won Super Bowl. Made it to another, but they didn't have the full team around him that even the great Peyton Manning needed to win. So let's see what Andrew Luck can do. Let's see what the Colts can do to make good on their $87 million. Another max contract reports that are coming out this week, and I don't think this guy's a max contract guy, a big contract guy anymore. One point in his career, maybe he was going to be. But Bleacher Report is reporting that even NBA executives feel that this guy's not a max contract guy. They're saying that Dwight Howard, former center of the Houston Rockets. Sorry, I'm looking at the scores here. They're saying, NBA execs are saying that he's a $10 to $15 million a year player right now. That's what he's putting out. That's his market value. And I can't say based on how the NBA pays their players that I disagree with him. Howard's saying that he thinks he's worth max money, $31 million. Psh. Whoever gives Dwight Howard $31 million, go ahead and let me have your job. Because I promise you that I will do a much better job than you are doing at building a basketball team. Now, this is the same Dwight Howard. He thinks he's worth $31. He opted out of a contract that was going to give him 23 next year. And NBA execs are saying that he's worth half that. Now, he's linked to a bunch of teams. He's meeting with the Celtics. Golden State, there's rumors that Golden State's going to make a push for him. There's rumors that the Knicks are interested. So, there's teams that are interested. Could somebody go and make the Brock Osweiler bonehead move and overpay for a guy who isn't in the position to help you win a championship? It's not that part of his career. He hasn't done what he needed to do to get there. Sure, it could happen. Somebody could go out there and say, hey, this is Dwight Howard, put him in the right team, get him motivated. You're going to see the guy who played in Orlando and led them to an NBA Finals appearance. Or are you going to see another contract where a guy got paid, like when he left Orlando, and, he can blame it on his back, he can blame it on the system, he can blame James Harden, he can blame coaches, execs, all these different pieces that have moved around him since he's left Orlando. But when it comes down to it, he's got to decide, is it your feelings, is it your pocketbook, or is it your game? What's most important to you? Because right now, to me, if I'm him, it's got to be my game. I got to be sick of all the doubters, all the naysayers out there talking stuff, running their mouth. He's got to be sick of me. I'm down on Dwight Howard. He's no Superman. There is one Superman, and that will forever be Shaquille O'Neal. Dwight Howard had all of the tools coming into the league out of high school. While he was with Orlando, I thought, hey, this kid could turn into something. If he develops, a little back to the hoop game. If he can get, with maybe an Hakeem Olajuwon and learn a hook shot. Nobody's going to be Hakeem Olajuwon, but, he can still coach you up. Could he get with a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and learn some post moves? Now, he didn't go and search any of that stuff out to our knowledge, to my knowledge, as an outsider. I don't see that kind of drive coming out of him. I see the almost arrogance of, I am this good, so just give me what I'm worth. You got to produce. At some point, it's not about who you were. It's about what you're doing. Sure, you look at a guy like, Michael Jordan. He's the example in basketball, right? His last 3 years there in Chicago, he was making $35 million a season from the Bulls. Was that based completely on what he was doing at the time? No, it wasn't. Some of that was, you're Michael Jordan, you've done a lot for us, so we're going to, pay you accordingly. But at the time, he was still putting up 25 and 7, He was still earning, in NBA terms, earning the money he was being paid. So, Dwight's going to have to go out and whichever team lands him this offseason, and he's going to have to put the whole league on notice. And he's going to have to go out there and he's going to have to do something. Not talk about it, just be about it. All right, let's get real. Just be about it. Next topic, next segment of this show that I'm going to talk about. This is a person who is definitely about it. This is a woman I'm honestly sad that she's no longer with us, that she's no longer going to be able to be at the University of Tennessee Vols women's basketball practices. Now, she hasn't coached in a few seasons now. I think since 2012, I believe, was Pat Summitt's last year. And she passed away this week at 64 years old. Pat Summitt, to me, I was going to do my thoughts at the end, and then after I went through all of the amazing stats and things that she accomplished. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my thoughts out first, and then we'll talk about all the things that she accomplished in her career. Now, one of my earliest memories of Pat Summitt is watching basketball on TV as a kid. Tournament time, elementary and middle school. The area I grew up in and the kids I hung out with, the tournament was on, we were watching. Lunchtime at school, we found the teacher who was interested, and we figured out how to watch it in the school. So I loved watching college basketball. And Pat Summitt, to me, was every bit as good of a coach as I had ever seen. Male, female, men's sports, female sports, little league, college, high school, pro. She was based on what I saw watching her through a television, I wanted to play for her. She was a winner. You saw her players playing hard for her. You didn't see them get mad when she yelled at them because they knew she loved them, that she had the best, that she had the drive, that she was trying to get the best out of them for them. She was kind of a motherly figure, but she would drive you hard. Everybody's heard the stories. I'm sure there's a ton of stories out there flying around this week about Pat Summitt. Watching her coach against UConn and Gino Auriemma when he came around, and those rivalries, knowing that every year, and see, I had family that went to UConn. Okay, I had a cousin that went there around the time that Gino came in at UConn in, 95, 96 season, maybe 94 season. I had a cousin that was attending UConn, so I was a UConn fan at that time. Gino was new, it was like, okay, cool. Richard Hamilton and the boys were playing on the men's side. UConn basketball was fun to me. I had a slight connection to it. My cousin was friends with some of the guys, players, so it was cool to me. But I knew that when Tennessee came up on the schedule, oh man, that was going to be a good game. That was going to be tough. Pat Summitt's team was going to be ready to play. This is a team, Tennessee, they only played the top competition. It's not like what you see in NCAA football now, where you got these top programs playing measly schools that have got bottom-of-the-barrel players for the collegiate level, and they're going, oh, look how great our player is. He ran for 200 yards this week. No, this is a woman whose team played top talent every week, every season. She didn't shy away. They were in the SEC. She played top 10 schools. She played ranked schools. She wanted her girls to be playing the best. So there were no excuses. She was a pioneer in this sport, dating back to her playing days, her international coaching days, her collegiate coaching. The things that she has meant to the game of basketball are equally as important to me as anybody else has ever meant to the game of basketball. And her career speaks for itself. The awards, the Hall of Fames, the courts that are named after her, her win totals. She's an amazing woman. She was an amazing coach. She touched more lives than we will know, because not all of them were her athletes or her students or her athletes' families. Some of them were people like me who just knew her through the TV or through a magazine publication or a newspaper publication or now the internet or today. The young girls who are now hearing stories about who Pat Summitt is. Pat Summitt got her coaching job started at the University of Tennessee in 1974 when she was only 22 years old. She coached there for 38 seasons after that. Not many coaches on any level coach 3 to 8 years, and she was able to coach for 38 seasons. In those 38 seasons, she made 38 postseason tournaments. Beat that. I dare you. Go find a man, for all you chauvinistic, macho, sports are all about men types out there. Beat that. You can't. This woman was remarkable. Her home record between 1974 and 2012 was 504 and 48. That's a .913 winning percentage. She had 1,098 total wins. That is the most by any Division I coach on any sport. Her career winning percentage was .840. She didn't lose. Her teams won all the time. She only had a few seasons that had more than 10 losses in the season. She won 72% of her games against ranked teams. And this is the competition that she sought out. 47% of the teams that she has wins against were ranked. 25% of them were top 10 teams. Not just ranked teams, top 10 teams. She wanted the best. She coached the best. Her SEC record